of this is the outworkings of the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile scandal. And Epstein is proving to be like an enema for the world's uber rich, the 1%ers who knew they could break any law with impunity. When the Epstein Papers are eventually released, and they will someday be released, they may throw open a door to the crimes of the 1%ers, both sexual and financial. That'll be a day of reckoning for those who thought themselves untouchable. Like I take great pleasure in the fact that the only reason Trump is holding back releasing those papers, even though he promised as a campaign promise that he would release them immediately, the reason he's holding them back, he knows what's in them. He knows who's named in those papers. And he knows if he releases those papers, some of his mates are going straight to jail. And if they're going to jail, you know what? Knowing the sort of people they are, they may just take Donald with them. But even the fact that papers exist and that the uber rich who were Epstein's buddies know one day they will be released means every night they go to bed, they're worried. They could possibly be sharing a cell with Harvey Weinstein, unless, of course, they know too much, which would result in them being found dead in a cell like Epstein. So yes, Epstein has definitely lifted the lid on the arrogance of the 1% billionaires who've always believed they could do whatever they wanted without any chance of being held to account. And they were right, people. They were right. They are right. As up until now, they could game this system with impunity because not only did they own the game, but they set the rules for the system.
The richest 1% of Americans now own more wealth than the entire middle class. 3 men, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, now own more wealth than 165 million Americans combined. And they're using that wealth to rig our political system. They own the media. They own social media. They own politicians in both political parties. These billionaires aren't just buying yachts and jets, they're buying power.
A few years ago, the Panama Papers came out, and I innocently believed that having the uber riches, backroom deals, and tax avoidance schemes exposed would change something. It didn't. Of course it didn't. Because it's funny how it just sort of slipped away into nothing. There was one documentary, maybe 2 documentaries, and then it's as if we had collective amnesia. The whole Panama Papers weren't mentioned again. A story that involved the robbing of trillions of dollars in tax money that should have went to the country's health systems, road systems, education systems, but instead was funneled through tax havens to avoid paying that tax. You'd think that would be a weekly series in most of the broadsheets. Strangely enough, that hasn't happened. Now, call me an old cynic. I'm sure you will. But I suspect that possibly because those broadsheets and tabloids and news organizations and reporters, they're all owned by the same people who were named in the Panama Papers. Can you see maybe a reason why those people wouldn't want that story to be followed up on? I can. And I suspect that's why it's disappeared. But I think Epstein's different. I do think Epstein's different. Because while the 1% may control legacy media, such as newspapers, TV stations, movies, books, all that, they do not control. They're trying to, but they still do not have perfect control over the internet. And this is where it's going to leak. This is where the truth will leak out. But I hope it doesn't leak out as some mad theory, You know, these conspiracy theories that all the billionaires get together in Davos and make all these master plans and all. That's bullshit. That is not the way it happens. That's not the way it needs to happen. They have a common purpose. They don't need to make any arrangements between each other. They have a common purpose. They're all billionaires. So they're all looking out for themselves and looking out for themselves. They're looking out for each other. So they'll cover up all the dodgy tax dodging, the pedophile scandals. They'll do their best to cover it all up. But I suspect that Epstein could be the downfall of quite a few of them. There is still a lot more to come out. And there's still a lot of very, very rich white men who are finding it very, very hard to sleep at night. And sure, isn't that a wonderful, wonderful thing?